Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us for our quiz tonight on this Wednesday, Tuesday, the 1st of December. Why are we doing it? A bit of fun, but importantly, and not least, to test your general knowledge, but also to plant some trees. As this next slide shows, this time last year we were up in near Scunthorpe planting trees as part of our carbon balancing for flight emissions. And your entry tonight has helped to contribute that. And I think in total we have 260 trees we planted. So thank you very much for that. And I'm sure if you'd like to give further donations, we will send around the web link again at the end or tomorrow. So thank you very much for that. Now, what are we playing for? Well, it's not just Pride. There is a £250 Steps Travel voucher that either Chris, Jared, or myself, or one of the team would be delighted to try and help you spend or put to good use in travel to some part of the world, which we will soon be able to do, certainly early next year. I'm being joined by the three wise men, by Nick, Jared, and Chris. They're going to present some of the rounds. We've asked them to do it because their pronunciation is second to none in some of the names that they will be delivering. So they will be doing some of the rounds. There are a couple of visual rounds, and there are a couple of well, there's quite a few sort of questions that they'll be reading out. So in terms of the rounds, we have in total 9. What we will do is we'll run through each round. There is a rough time limit, and then once that's up, we will then move on to the next round. So Chris will introduce Jared to Nick, etc., etc. And after round 5, we will total the scores and give out the scores on the doors, and then commence with the second half of the quiz. So next slide, please, Nadia. I sound like Dan Driscoll. And these are the teams. So as I said, thank you very much for taking part. There's some interesting names there, and I'm sure some very will be high-scoring teams. So thank you for taking part. And next slide again. So these are the house rules. You saw the quiz categories earlier on, and well, it sounds very strict here in terms of timing. I'm not sure we'll be that draconian, but we will ask you to hurry along a little bit rather than sort of because we have to, before we move on to the next round, everybody has to have completed that category. As it says there, once you've submitted the answers, you can't go back and resubmit. You effectively move on to the next round. And well, anyway, that's, as I said, it all sounds very serious there. The main thing is for us to have fun, which we will do, not least with our excellent presenters, Chris, Nick, and Jared. So I think without further ado, I'm not sure. Yes, if you have any questions at any stage, please do use the chat function or the question function to sort of or raise a hand. So I think we may be ready to go. Everybody seems to have joined on. Nadia, are we happy to go on?
I think a few more teams just need to sign in on the answer sheet.
Okay. So who do we think might not have signed in? I think that maybe the Happy Hikers have probably gone for too long a hike, haven't quite made it. The Brainy Butlers. Are there any more house rules that we need to run through, Nadia?
That's all. I just shared the sign-in sheet link on the chat as well. So if anyone needs to indicate that they are ready to start, then they can do so there. There's still 8 more teams that need to sign in.
While we're waiting then, Jared, I'm going to put you on the spot here, so maybe you want to focus and concentrate a little bit. I know we were about to send out a bit of collateral about the sort of state of play in terms of which countries are starting to open up. But do you want to give just a very short summary of some of the key destinations, certainly where we're taking bookings for at the moment?
Yeah, no, absolutely, no problem. Delighted that we are taking bookings at the moment, and we've got people that are actually looking forward to their travels sort of in the next few weeks. So places like the Maldives, Seychelles, St. Lucia and other parts of the Caribbean. We're managing to get people away to shortly. Recently had a client return from Costa Rica and sort of put it as one of the most memorable trips she's done in a long time, basically because there's nobody else there, sadly. That was their loss, her gain, I suppose. We're also looking, we're taking quite a few inquiries at the moment for sub-Saharan Africa. Chris and I were literally just talking before we came on air. The number of inquiries he's looking at the moment, specifically for Namibia, Kenya, and mainly sort of sub-Saharan Africa. So a lot of interest there. Namibia was recently put onto the green list as far as the Foreign Office was concerned. So you can travel to Namibia without the need to quarantine. Sadly, getting to Namibia does mean you have to go via a country where quarantine is required, but we're hoping that the government will see sense. You never know. That they will not require people to quarantine when they go via places that are currently on their red list. But yeah, a lot of interest in traveling for Christmas, but also looking beyond that for early next year.
And as of the 15th of December, the government are changing the quarantine a little bit in terms of the testing when you come back, so you don't have to quarantine for quite so long. It's 5 days as opposed to 14 days, as long as you have a negative test.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Very important that you get your test sort of pre-arranged, obviously before you travel to get into the country that you're going to, but also if you want to take advantage of that, have your test, as Justin said, on day 5 of your quarantine. You then put your test in, and that means your quarantine will be reduced to 7 days rather than 14 days. And I understand that, your passenger locator form that you need to fill in to come back into the UK, you also need to put details of your test kit into that. So important that you get that test pre-arranged before you leave the UK. Don't wait until you get back in order to organise that.
Thank you for that, JK. And if you've got any questions about any travel requirements, PCR tests, etc., then please do call us in the office either tomorrow, this week, or the next few weeks. But I think that we are now ready to start. And so I think we're going to go to first round, if I may, Nadia. Right, so the first round is a picture round. And what we'd like you to do is name these 10 people or these characters. They've all been in the news for some reason or other in the last few weeks. So if you're on the answer form, I think that Nadia sent around the link for that if you'd just like to submit each name. I think that for number 3, if you're struggling with the name of the actress, you can maybe go for her name in whatever she stars in. There's a bit of a clue there. Now, if anybody wants any clues, you can message me, but I will maybe give you a clue on the condition that you plant another tree. How are we doing? Anybody need any clues? Somebody's just texted me, is number 2 Jeff Bezos? No, I'm afraid it's not Jeff Bezos. Okay, so Well, hopefully you submitted your answers for that round, our first round in the news. And now it is time for geography, and for me to hand over to Nick, who's all coming to us from the Caribbean. Nick, over to you.
Thank you, Justin. I wish I was coming from the Caribbean, of course, but sadly it's not. It's just outside Cirencester, along with everybody else. Right, this round is geography, and you have 10 questions. The first question: there are 14 mountains over 8,000 meters, 117 mountains over 7,000 meters. They are all in Asia. What is the highest mountain outside of Asia? Aconcagua, Denali, or Chimborazo? Second question: which river is the longest? The Congo, the Mississippi, or the Yellow? Question 3: which is the biggest? Australia, Brazil, or India? Shouldn't take too long for that one. Question 4: which is the furthest north? Beijing, London, or New York? All done on that? Question 5: which is the furthest west? Belfast, Dublin, or Madrid? Halfway through. Question 6: which has the largest Muslim population? India, Indonesia, or Pakistan? Be a bit of head scratching there. Question 7: Brazil is the largest coffee producer in the world. Which country is second? Colombia, Indonesia, or Vietnam? That's a tricky one. And question 8: in which country is the world's largest pyramid? Egypt, Guatemala, or Mexico? That will take some thinking. Two more to go. Question 9: which country has the largest prison population? China, Russia, or the USA? All the bad boys. And the last question. What percentage of the world's population live in the Northern Hemisphere? Is it 70%, 80%, or 90%? And once you've done that, that is question 10 on geography. And we are now going to move on to entertainment. And I'm going to hand over to Jared, who is going to ask all the questions. There's a resume of all the questions in case you missed one of them.
Well, thank you for that, Nick. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully your glasses are charged and you're ready for the entertainment round. Some tricky ones in that geography round, so hope you've done well. But what we're looking for on the entertainment round is the name of the film, and you'll get that if you've got a cryptic brain. If you're a fan of cryptic crosswords, this is your crosswords even. This is your round. So basically, these clues are all cryptic clues for film names. And the first one on tonight is Courageous Organ. What film name is that? Courageous Organ. Question 2. A blustery departure. Question 3. He's digested the woman. He's digested the woman. Question 4. Cowardly jog. Cowardly jog. Question 5. An unrealizable assignment. An unrealizable assignment. Question 6. A certain few don't enjoy it cold. Number 7. Impartial dame belongs to me. Impartial dame belongs to me. Question 8. Looking back for this omen. I'd say this is probably the most cryptic of them all. You've really got to think outside the box on this one. Looking back for this omen. Question 9. Pig for rent. Pig for rent. And the final question, precious digit. So hopefully some questions there, getting you to use a different part of your brain from the geography questions. I think we can probably have a look at them all there in their entirety, the whole round. And once you've done that, the countdown theme will come along in a moment, and Justin is going to take the next round. He's going to be looking at some, I think they're book covers I think we've got for you, but I'll leave that to Justin to explain. Good luck.
Thank you, Jared, and I hope you all did well on that entertainment round. So we're moving to round 4, which is art and literature. And as Jared said, these are all book covers. And what we'd like you to do is to name the book, the title of the book. And whilst you're doing that, I might just update you on some of the scores that in round 1, which was in the news. Again, a picture round. There were a couple of teams, 3 teams that scored 8, and they were the Dennis Law Society, Quarantine, and the Chesleys. There was 2 teams that scored 7, and they were the Nomads and Ladies That Quiz. I think the geography around round 2 was a little bit harder, as Jared said, and the highest score was 7, which was Silver Strikers scored 7. There were a few teams that scored 6 on that geography round, and they were Guessing Great Apes, the Nomads, and the Chesleys. Cheesleys, I'm being told, sorry. So how are we doing on these book covers? Okay. Yes, there's one team that's want us to pause for a bit, so we're just going to hold here for a little bit while we try and get them back up and running. So that gives you more time to run to the shelves in the house and try and find the book covers. I think in round 3, the entertainment round, which is the cryptic clues, the Guessing Great Apes scored 8. So some good guessing there, some good cryptic answers there. The Ladies That Quiz got 6. Silver Strikers 5. Quarantine 6 again. And there are a few other teams on 5 or thereabouts. Right, hopefully you have 10 answers or near enough 10 answers. And I think we might be ready to move forward. So we just had a call that one of the teams can't move on to the answer sheet. So we're just trying to look into that, a technical hitch here. So please just bear with us. And again, Jane's saying that the ladies that quiz haven't been able to submit either. The ladies that quiz seem to have submitted answers for this round, for round 4. Hopefully that's okay. The Dennis Law Society, are you still having problems? Maybe chat to us if you are. Jane, you're giving away the answer to number 1 there by telling everybody that. I'm sorry, we're having problems with the Dennis Law Society. As they say, they're trying to, another team appears on the screen. I think we either do one of two things. We either reboot, or we ask you to mark yourselves. And I'm in favour of doing the latter. I trust you implicitly, and so maybe that's the way what we should do. If you could certainly make sure that you've written down answers for these 10 here, and then we can at least move on while we try and restart it in the background to the next round, which is history. I'm very happy to introduce Chris, who will be hosting this next round for you. He's a historian of some expertise. The Wars of the Roses and the Crusades are two of his specialist subjects.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure there'll be so many questions about either of those. But Chris, over to you.
Sorry to interrupt and sorry to ruin your parade, Chris. Just to clarify, on the team drop-down list, although it says Africa Addict, you can click on it and it should pull down all of the team names. So you can then select your team name from that drop-down list. If everyone could try that, and then if that doesn't fail, then let's stick with what Justin suggested and mark your own, honestly, of course. So if everyone could just confirm that that's worked, the people that were having issues. And if not a problem, we can do our own marking. Okay, Chris, your moment's here. Take it away.
Excellent. Thank you, Nadia. Good evening. Right then, round 5, history. And before we start, I must apologise for the background. As you can see, with my mastery of Zoom, I've opted for the Steps Travel office backdrop. Perhaps not very exotic, but certainly where the magic happens. So without further ado, let's crack on with history. So question 1, who was the last English king to be killed in battle? Is it A, Edward III, B, Henry III, or C, Richard III? So who was the last English king to be killed in battle? And I must apologise in advance for the pronunciation of some of the more exotic sounding names, which I'm sure Justin puts in there just to throw me. So I'll give it my best shot. So question 2, which of Henry VIII's wives had the shortest reign? Was it A, Anne Boleyn, B, Jane Seymour, or C, Anne of Cleves? Obviously not Jane Seymour in Live and Let Die, so just to clarify that. Okay, topical. So Joe Biden, the oldest to be elected US presidency, but who was the youngest to assume that role? Was it A, Roosevelt, B, John F. Kennedy, or C, Bill Clinton? Or if you're Trump, none of them. Okay, so question 4. In which battle did Nelson famously turn a blind eye to orders to disengage? Was it A, Battle of Cape St. Vincent, B, Battle of the Nile, or C, Battle of Copenhagen? I have to be honest, I saw these questions, I found all of them hard. I possibly got one right when I tried. Okay, so number 5, who preceded Xi Jinping as president of China? Was it A, Hu Jintao, B, Jiang Zemin, or C, Zhu Rongji? The pronunciations get worse as the as the questions progress. I warn you now. Okay, question number 6. When was the United Nations established? Was it A, 1935, B, 1945, or C, 1955? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give clues on any of these, so probably not. But yeah, obviously the right clues would help, yeah. Okay, question number 7. Of the 3 people below, who was the first to be elected as Prime Minister? Was it A, was it B, Indira Gandhi, or C, Margaret Thatcher? No, A, Sirimavau Bandaranaike, who I believe is Sri Lankan, or surely with a name like that must be Sri Lankan. So he was first elected as Prime Minister. Sirimavo Bandaranaike. Okay, question number 8. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean with 3 ships and 90 men. 1405, the Chinese admiral Zheng He set sail on his first voyage with how many men? Is it A, 280, B, 2,800, or C, 28,000? And I'll give you a clue. They don't really do things by halves, the Chinese. Question number 9. Which Zulu king led the Zulus to victory against the British at the Battle of Isandlwana? Was it A, Cetshwayo, B, Dingane, or C, Shaka? Last question this round. I think we're then going to take a short break. Moctezuma was a ruler of A, Aztecs, B, Incas, or C, Mayans? I think this is one of the rare questions that I may have known. I can't tell you what the answer is, Justin. A, B, or C? So there we go. Just to recap, feel free to try pronouncing any of the names that I struggled with for a bonus point that you can give yourselves. And I think after this, we are going to have a short break of a few minutes and then come back to Science and Nature with Justin. I think we're going to try and tot up some of the answers as well. There we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christoph, and thank you for your amazing pronunciations. Are you able to tell us what the answer was to number 10, Moctezuma? I'm not sure if everybody submitted their answers just yet. Okay, so as Chris said, we're going to quickly whip through the answers for those rounds that we've had, and if anybody wants to go and sort of recharge their glasses, please do so. But let's head on to round 1, and we'll just quickly put up the answers. So there they are. As I said, for number 3, we will accept Beth Harmon, I think it was, who's the fictional chess player. If you didn't get the actress's name, number 2 was not Jeff Bezos, Chris. And yeah, that was a quite a high scoring round for some of you. The Guessing Great Apes didn't start so strong, but they on this round, but they finished more strongly on different rounds. The answers to round 2 were as follows. So the highest mountain outside is Aconcagua. The Yellow River is the longest, and Brazil is bigger than both Australia and India. And the furthest north is London, and West Dublin. Number 6 is, as Chris and Jared both got right in the office, is Indonesia. And then perhaps surprisingly, Vietnam is bigger than both Colombia and Indonesia in terms of coffee production. The biggest pyramid is in Mexico. And yes, the USA have the largest prison population, keeping somebody like Louis Theroux, giving him many series to go around various prisons in the USA. So that's geography questions. The next round, I think, was history.
Sorry to interrupt again.
No.
Team Clueless, if you could submit your answers, please, that would be great. Thank
The
you.
clues in the name. So there was Jared's round. The film names. Hopefully, yeah, I think people did pretty well on those. Yeah, Silver Strikes got 7 out of 10 there. Guessing Great Apes, the Nomads, and the Cheesleys all did well as well. And then the next round was books. So those are the names of the book titles of their front covers. Guessing Great Apes did very well on here. They got 10 out of 10. So that's the first 10 that we've had. The Ladies That Quiz got 8. The Dennis Law Society 7. And there were quite a number of 6s. The Nomads, Happy Hikers, and Pseudo Friends all got 6. And then the last round we'll go through is the history ones. Richard III was the last king to die in battle. I think Chris would have got all of those right. Let's see how we did on those rounds. Who scored well on that round?
And sorry, Justin, could you just clarify the answer to question 7, please?
Bandaranaike. Is that one? I'm not looking at it at the moment. Yeah, Bandaranaike. Who did well in that round? So I'm just trying to quickly look at some of the scores. Ladies That Quiz got 7, so too Guessing Great Apes. There were a number of 5s. South Sea Travellers, again, another 5. We had a few 5s. Quarantine were on 6. Happy Hikers on 5. The Brainy Butlers, they scored 6. The Dennis Law Society, not quite so good. History's Not Your Round, that was 4. The Royals Court Ramblers were on 5. And yeah, there are a few more 5s. So at the halfway stage after 5 rounds, there are quite a few teams on 26, 24. The Quarantine are on 29. Ladies That Quiz on 30. But out in front for the time being are the Guessing Great Apes. So let's, without further ado, move on to the next round, which I believe is Science and Nature. And what we'd like you to do is to name the tree. And given that you're all wonderful gardeners, I'm sure this will be an easy or easier round for you. So on the left-hand side there, you have a list of various trees. You've got to match them up against the image, the numbers there. So Clueless didn't submit for round 5, is that right? That's from Roy. The Gessens got 4 on round 5 on that history round. That's their highest score to date, but it's going to be much, much higher from now on, I can see. I think you generally find well, I think you're more visual. Perhaps there's only one answer as well. I think it's sometimes when you're faced with a multiple choice, A, B, or C, that it becomes a little more difficult. Maybe there's debate in different families about whether it's 25,000 or 2,500.
Roy.
Yeah, the Clueless team. If you can actually give us your score for the previous round for round 5, and then we can add it to the total, because at the moment it's got a no score. So if you maybe want to chat it. So there's the link that's been sent to you, but if you are having problems with it, then just tell us the score via chat and we can add it here in the background. All right, hopefully you were nearly done for that round. I'm not sure, I think most schools seem to be in or about to come in. So that's the last visual round that we're doing. We have 3 more rounds to go, and we're going to hand over to Jared, Chris, and Nick. So Jared will be taking over the next round, which is sports and leisure. I'm not sure what he's better at, but it's Jared's pleasure.
Thank you, Justin. Right, some sporting trivia for you all now. So we're going to start off with the Tour de France. And aside from France, which nationality has won the Tour de France the most? Is it the plucky Belgians? Is it Italy? Or is it Spain? USA doesn't count because they cheated. Second question for you this evening. It's about the Premiership. I know there are a few QPR fans playing this evening. I'm sorry there aren't any Championship questions for you. But which is the furthest north in terms of Premiership teams? Is it Burnley, Everton, or Sheffield? The furthest northern team in the Premiership, is it Burnley, the Toffees, Everton, or is it Sheffield? Question number 3. What number is between 9 and 11 on a dartboard? Number 8, number 12, number 14. Question number 4. Not sure darts really is a sport, is it? But anyway, I suppose it's a leisure pastime rather than a sport. Question 4. Who is the most capped male England footballer? Is it David Beckham, who incidentally is related to one of the Steps Travel team? So is it David Beckham? Is it Wayne Rooney? Or is it Peter Shilton, the most capped male England footballer?
Who's related to Dave Beckham?
You mean you don't know?
No.
Our very own Claire Higginson.
Okay.
Yeah, cousins. Question 5. The USA holds 12 Olympic records on track and field, both men's and women's. The next country has 5. Which is it? Is it Ethiopia, Jamaica, or Kenya? Question number 6. Which square is landed on the most in Monopoly? I'm sure there'll be a lot of this going on over Christmas, although I understand the government won't let us play board games this Christmas, or advising us not to. But anyway, I hope your Monopoly board does come out this Christmas. And the square landed on the most, is it the Go Square, is it Jail, or is it Trafalgar Square? Question 7. The Vendée Globe Round the World race is underway with the UK's Alex Thompson leading. Now, I actually had to pick Justin up on this because when he wrote this, Alex Thompson was leading, but he isn't anymore. I think it's Charlie Dallin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who's now leading that race. Robin Knox-Johnston was the first to sail single-handedly around the world in 1969 in 312 days. So that's over 50 years ago. When Alex Thompson came second in the last Vendée Globe, 2016 to 17, how many days did it take him? Did it take him 75 days, 100 days, or 125 days? I don't know if you were listening to the Today program this morning. They were reporting on quite a drama out there because Kevin Escoffier was rescued. He put out a mayday because his boat literally split in half and had to be rescued. Question 8, a little bit more simple. Which of these is not worth 8 points in Scrabble? J, Q, X. Which of these is not worth 8 points in Scrabble? J, Q, X. And question 9, which man has the most ATP wins? That's tennis, of course. Which man has the most ATP wins? Is it Jimmy Connors? Is it Federer? Or is it Lendl? And the final question for the sport round. Who is currently the highest paid female athlete? Is it A, Naomi Osaka? Is it B, Maria Sharapova? Or is it C, Serena Williams? The highest paid female athlete. So there are all the questions. Question 4 with reference to Peter Shilton. I'm sure you all saw the footage again and again of Maradona out jumping him with his hand recently. There's some good questions there. Hopefully you've got some good answers too. We'll have the countdown theme. And then I think it's Chris again, who has some canny sequences to go through with you.
Okay, I'm back. Here we are again for round 8. Canny sequences indeed. So nice, easy ones to start you off. So all it is, I can read out the first 3 and then what comes next. So question 1, Henry VIII, Edward VI, Lady Jane Grey, Okay, question number 2. Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, I want to say blank. Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy. Who's next? Okay, question number 3. Red, orange, yellow. It's not what you think. Okay, and obviously not that we're encouraging gambling, but let's give this one a go. 2 pair, 3 of a kind, straight. What next? 2 pair, 3 of a kind, straight. And I have the answers in front of me and it's terrible because I keep wanting to read out the 4th word. Anyway, there we go. Okay, question number 5. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And this answer is one of Jared's favourites. So Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. What comes next? Okay, question number 6. Compose yourself, Christopher Johnston. Question number 6. Coventry Street, Piccadilly, Regent Street. That's tricky. Coventry Street, Piccadilly, Regent Street. Same but different. Marble Arch, Bond Street, Oxford Circus. So Marble Arch, Bond Street, Oxford Circus. These are certainly easier to read than my last round, so small mercies. Okay, hopefully fairly obvious on this one. Athens, Beijing, London. Athens, Beijing, London. Number 9, silver, pearl, coral. And then what's next? Secrets to a long and happy relationship. Some of these, maybe. So silver, pearl, coral. What's next? And then the last one, question number 10. Kelly's Eye, One Little Duck, cup of tea. So Kelly's eye, one little duck, cup of tea. And it's not Cockney rhyming slang that you might think of. So there they are again. Hopefully that might help jog some memories. See if anything springs to mind. And then I think after this, we are going to Nick, I believe, for a Christmas trivia round to end things off.
Hello again, everybody.
Ah, there he is.
I'm here from my Caribbean beach. There we go to round 9. As Jared said at the beginning, you can also join me out here. There are various places opened up. Right, what I need you to say and tell me is whether the questions are true or false. So the first question, the first ever SMS text message sent said, "Merry Christmas." True or false? Okay, so for question 2, the poinsettia, that red plant which you see in every single garden centre, traditional at Christmas, originated in Peru. True or false? Question 3. 4 of Father Christmas's reindeers are named with a D. True or false? That's got you thinking. Give you a little longer, working through all the names. Question 4. The 12 days of Christmas begin on December the 14th. Get the fingers out, diaries. True or false? Question 5. Christmas Island, that little blob in the middle of nowhere, was named after its discoverer, Sir James Christmas. True or false? Question number 6. The Christmas cracker was invented by a London sweet shop owner, Tom Smith, while poking at a fire. True or false? And number 7. The word mistletoe means dung on a twig in Anglo-Saxon. True or false? I'm sure you all speak Anglo-Saxon. And question number 8. Another little linguistic teaser. Bethlehem means house of meat in Arabic. True or false? And question 9. A male turkey is called a tom. True or false? And your last one. In 1947, the FBI issued a memo decrying the film It's a Wonderful Life as communist propaganda. True or false? And we'll have a quick look at all the questions again, so you can just run through them. Got Father Christmas's reindeers. Was it 4? Was it 3? Or 2? Anyway, I'm now going to hand over to Justin, who will run through everything and tell you the scores.
Nick, thank you very much indeed for that. That was our final round. I thought you presented wonderfully well, much better than our so-called astrologist or astronomist, Chris. I think we are now quickly going to go through the answers to the rounds 6, 7, 8, and then 9. So answer number 6 was the science of nature. That's when we asked you to name which leaves were with which trees. And I'm pleased to say we got another 10 there, and that was from the Happy Hikers, who got them all right. The Rolls Court Ramblers also did well on 8. The Brainy Butlers scored 7. Good to see spending some time out in the garden or out and about. The Silver Strikers 6. So yeah, those were the leaves. The next round was sport and leisure. It was a very good round for quarantine. They scored 9. At 8 were the Ladies That Quiz. The Dennis Law Society and the Brainy Butlers did well sports-wise. Maybe if it'd been Premiership or Championship rather than Premiership, the Dennis Law Society might have got 8. Is that right, Jared? And 6 were the Rolls Court Ramblers. Sorry, the Rolls Court Ramblers scored 6 as well in that round. I don't think there are any major surprises there. The round 8 was one that you all scored well in. I think that was probably the highest scoring round. And this was sequences, asking you for the sequences. And there they are, from sort of the Kings of England to presidents to colours of the rainbow, poker, etc. The planets. 6 is Monopoly. 7 is the Central Line in London. 8 is Olympics. 9, as Chris said, is wedding anniversaries. And 10 is, so I'm told, a bingo call. But Quarantine did very well in that. They scored 10. The Brainy Butlers scored 9 in that round. There were quite a few 8s, the Guessing Great Apes, the Rolls Court Ramblers, the Ladies That Quiz. There were a few 7s, the Nomads and Dennis Law Society, and 6 were the Guessins, their highest round, and the Silver Strikers. And then our last one was True or False, so a bit of Christmas trivia. That was a good round for the Guessing Great Apes. They scored 9, as did Ladies That Quiz. 8 were the Nomads. Who else scored well? There were a few 7s. Clueless got a 7, which is good to see. The South Seas Travellers got a 7 as well, as did the Happy Hikers, and so too the Brainy Butlers. So I think whilst we're just checking some of the scores behind the scenes, I just might ask Jared to jump back on if he may quickly. And I know that we've been operating a skeleton team throughout sort of the last few months, but we've also been working on lots of things behind the scenes, most importantly, I think, is positive impact travel, which we will talk about early next year, but also in terms of our European portfolio as well. Do you want to say something certainly about the latter, what we're trying to do with them, with some European destinations for early next year, or certainly next spring and summer?
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited about what we're doing, looking at our European program and really trying to create a blueprint for positive impact travel. So, you know, we'll use what we're putting together to really shape what we do elsewhere in the world. And we're looking at lots of different areas. So Sally's been busy looking at northern Spain, from the Basque region right the way across to sort of Asturias and Cantabria, right the way through to Galicia. She's putting some great new trips together there. Charlie's been looking at Italy. We've got a lovely new partner there who is really passionate about his food. He's worked with Jamie Oliver, for example, in Italy, helping produce some of his programs. And the idea in Italy, what we want to do is to keep some of these really old traditions alive that are all around food and wine producing, all of these wonderful sort of artisan producers of great food. We want to help them keep that alive because it's such an important part of the Italian culture and heritage. And you know, that's where tourism can really help keep some of these wonderful old traditions and cultures alive. We're also looking at sort of off-piste Europe, looking at the Balkans. Rob's been doing some work there, looking at Montenegro, looking at Bosnia, looking at Kosovo as well, because, you know, tourism can be a real force for good in these areas, bringing in really much needed revenue to communities that are sort of really find it hard. So, you know, tourism is a great sort of boost to their local economy. So lots going on behind the scenes, lots that we're really excited to share with you all very soon. You know, we hope that you'll help us to road test some of those trips, some great wildlife trips as well, I should mention, with the European Nature Trust. We were on a great Zoom call the other day with Rewilding Portugal, which, as the name suggests, is a conservation body that is looking to help wolves survive in the Coa Valley in Portugal. And that just looks like an awesome trip. So yeah, lots to be excited about.
Great, thank you very much for that, JK. Thank you. And then maybe the winners can spend their voucher on one of those trips. So we have the scores in, the final scores in. There were quite a few teams on the 40s. The Nomads scored 50, as did the Rolls Court Ramblers. The Brainy Butlers 51, and the Dennis Law Society 56. But there were three teams that were tied on 59. And they were the Ladies That Quiz, Quarantine, and Guessing Great Apes. So well done to all of them. Now, Nadia, who is extremely competitive and always wants a winner or to know who is the winner, says that we need to have a decider on this. So I will ask a question, and then I will ask you to message your answer via the chat. And also just to say which team it is, either Great Apes, Quarantine, or Ladies That Quiz. And the question is, on average each year, to the nearest 1 million, how many births are there in the UK? So how many births every year in the UK to the nearest million? So the Ladies That Quiz, thank you very much for your answer. Just two more answers from Guessing Great Apes and Quarantine. Much debate amongst those teams thus far. No responses yet from the Guessing Great Apes or Quarantine. And Quarantine, thank you for your answer. Just waiting for Guessing Great Apes. Okay, so we have three answers. One at 5.7, one at 2 million, and one at 1 million. the answer that came in first was 1 million, and that is the correct answer. So hugely well done to ladies that quiz. Thank you very much to Quarantine and Getting Great Apes. Thank you to you all for taking part. Thank you to the team behind the scenes, Nadia, Charles, Jamie and Rob. A huge thank you to them. But thank you very much to my three wise men, to Jared, Chris and Nick. Nick, maybe he's gone off to lie on the beach or put his sunscreen on. Thank you very much to the three of you, but a huge thank you to all of you for taking part and for helping us to plant trees. And if I don't speak to you or see you beforehand, have a very happy Christmas and New Year. Thank you very much.